Hi, I'm Bill Sargent, Senior Consultant in Chinese Art at Bonhams. Cohen Cohen are among the most consequential dealers in Chinese export art for the last 5 decades. They have consistently offered the finest Chinese ceramics, enamels, and other works of art made in China for the Western market. We have here a pair of ladies reclining, leaning on a pile of books, and looking at an album of paintings. This particular pair is most unusual because it seems to represent women who are in the initial stages of pregnancy. There is a Chinese metaphor which this seems to represent, which is reading a book nourishes the growth of ideas in the mind like a child developing in the womb. Among the most important pieces in the sale for the American market is this punch bowl. The Hongs were what we call factories, and these were European-style buildings that were built by the Chinese and rented out to the Westerners on a yearly basis. When you look very closely, you can see the pentimento of the flag and its previous location. These were produced enameled very carefully over a long period of time, so it would have been a long process. And between the start of the process and the finish, the Americans moved their Hong from this location to the next location. That meant that the old flag had to be scraped off, touched up, and the new flag painted in the proper new location. This pair of sculptural elephants are white elephants, which were important within the Buddhist tradition. They have vases on their back which presenting tribute to the emperor. We consider them as candlesticks in the West. They were quite popular in the West, and that would be the function that we would put them to. However, they were also made for the domestic market, as is seen in a portrait of the Jiajing Emperor in the National Palace Museum in Beijing of about 1820, where we see one of these on a table with other treasures of the emperor, but in the vase is a sprig of flowers. This particular figure is an extremely rare figure. Very large, beautifully modeled. These figures seem to be modeled after a print by Caspar Lucan of 1703, or perhaps a later edition of that particular print, because these were made about 1750. And it represents a woman from the Frankfurt Jewish community. The ruffled collar and the cap with peaked edges were prescribed by Jewish anti-sumptuary laws. What's interesting, too, is that although they were copying a black and white print, they have enameled it in various colors, and not having any idea of what European costumes were like. They have, for example, cloud scrolls on the apron, which are a Chinese motif, and on the blue cape, they have dragon roundels, which are a purely Chinese motif.